There has been much debate into the effects of climate change on the world's ecosystems, much of it centering on the negative impacts of the animal species, but a recently published article illustrates just the opposite. For a number of years, scientists studied the effects of climate change into the meta-population of Adelie penguins on Beaufort and Ross Island, an ideal location as the Ross Sea is relatively untouched by man, and so any change to the penguin colony would be by natural causes and not from human interference. It was hypothesized that the increase in breeding pairs and the availability of nesting habitat were directly related and were associated with glacial retreat due to increasing temperatures. This also explained the reduction in the immigration of young birds to nearby colonies on Ross Island. The study aimed to determine the population size and available habitat on Beaufort Island to calculate the change in available habitat from 1958 to 2010 and what effects this had on the dynamics of the group. To estimate the population, aerial photographs were taken during the incubation period, as each penguin on the island could be assumed to be one of a breeding pair. To calculate the available nesting habitat, grayscale imaging was used to identify the extent of the guano stain, and then subtracting the area of unsuitable habitat in the colony boundaries. From 1999 to 2010, 400 fledgling chicks were marked at Beaufort Island to track their movements. Once marked, the chicks were then searched for in later years at neighbouring Ross Island colonies, and the band number and breeding status recorded. There were problems accessing Beaufort on some years, so instead scientists had to use survival rates from nearby colonies to estimate the number of Beaufort birds that should have been alive. This resulted in an emigration rate, the proportion of Beaufort birds seen in neighbouring colonies compared to the number of birds that should have been alive on the island each year. As you can see from the graph, the available nesting habitat has increased since 1958, with the majority of this being between 1983 and 2010. We can also see that there is a direct association between the increase in habitat and the increase in population. If this is compared to the summer temperatures recorded at nearby McMurdo Station, we can see that the nesting habitat did not start to properly increase until there was a big rise in temperatures. This indicates that the nesting habitat and population expansion is directly linked with the increasing temperatures. From this graph, you can see that from 2005 onwards, the emigration rate starts to decline. As the glacier retreats, the birds have more room and so less have to immigrate to neighbouring colonies. From the results obtained, it is clear that the Adelie penguins in the Beaufort Island colony are climate change winners due to the increasing temperatures that causes glacial retreat and subsequently exposing more nesting habitat.